In one of the ugliest chapters of human history, when corruption was rampant, the earth was filled with violence, God chose to work with a man who stood apart. Noach's faith wasn't a passive sentiment. It wasn't a t-shirt or a religious sect title. It was an active, intentional choice to live in accordance with God's will, even when the cost could have been higher than what he ever wanted to pay. I'm Nicole Alkia Maggio, your host of Dig Deep, Reach High, the podcast. In this space, everyone is invited to pull up a seat at my table where we get into honest, refreshing, and eye-opening conversations about health and wellness, relationships, and biblical living. Together, we explore with curiosity on what it takes for growth while giving the grace for the journey to get there. Even as a kid in Minnesota, I've always had big city dreams. I've transformed myself from an unaware, overwhelmed single woman into a confident, healthy wife and mom. And now I'm here to share my journey and victories and help you with yours. So come along with me as I teach you the tried and true secrets to building a life that you can truly enjoy living. This isn't just informational, it's empowering. Every week we tackle real-life obstacles and host honest discussions on what works and what doesn't. Grab a cup of coffee, pull up a seat, and be ready to feel encouraged, spark curiosity, and leave empowered as we fearlessly grow through life together. This is Dig Deep, Reach High, the podcast. Waking up every morning is a little spark of inspiration in its own. A little laugh, a guiding word, everything helps to set you on the right path. And at Dayspring, inspirational calendars blend heartfelt scripture, a touch of humor, and practical directions to remind you daily that you're loved and cherished and you can do more. Whether you're treating yourself or gifting someone you love, every page offers a daily dose of hope and encouragement. Give the gift of inspiration to yourself or others, one day at a time. Visit dayspring.com following the affiliate link below and give a little gift to supporting the podcast as well. Find the perfect calendar that brightens your every day. Dayspring, inspiring your every day. Wow, have you seen what's happening in the world today lately? Everywhere you go, something seems to be falling apart. Like people, communities, economy, you name it. However, in the midst of all this trouble in the world, we have our chance to make an impact for a brighter, more healthy place to live. Today, we're going to explore how every choice we make has the power to really shape our world for the better. And there's no greater history to reflect on during these times than the life of Noah. Yes, Noah. And how his unwavering commitment and heartfelt choices changed not only his destiny, but also the future of humanity. In a time when the world was sinking deeper into chaos, Noach chose to live with integrity, hope, and a steadfast connection to his faith. And that, my friends, is a powerful reminder that each one of us can make a difference. Stick around because over the course of this episode, we're going to unpack Noach's story and discover a vision of the impact we can make, no matter how ugly the world may seem. So stay tuned and be inspired to take back your power to be the good in the world again. Oh, there's no ad in here. Hold on. Well, I'll come back. With great power comes great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. Yes, I know you're thinking of a superhero right now, but it was actually a phrase from long before that from Voltaire. No matter who said it, though, it does ring with truth, as power does require a sense of responsibility. Now, in a time where the feeling of being powerless Now, in this time where the feeling of being powerless can almost be considered normal, and the thought that nothing I do matters can be common, our true power is something I believe that we need to look at a little deeper and realize not only what power we have, but the responsibility that we really have to use it for good to better the world around us. And our power starts with our choices. It's in our intention, our actions, our faith, or even our lack thereof. The power we generate makes an impact not just in our lives, but in the lives of everyone we touch, bringing us closer to a better world, further from it. Every day we face a barrage of messages. It won't get better. Why even try? Life around us just feels like it's falling apart, and large areas, even in our communities, are being impacted and hurt, even in our own backyard. It can seem as if our small existence and the choices that we're making can be worthless to combat the negativity and the hate that's really in this world. But I am here to challenge that narrative, because being a better version of yourself doesn't just improve your life. It ripples out to touch the lives of everyone around you. Our responsibility and impact really is enormous, because our everyday actions, no matter how small, can brighten someone's day or even transform their whole life. Imagine your choices like seeds. When you plant a seed of hope, kindness, and righteousness, even the tiniest acts can grow into something extraordinary. In our hectic lives at home, at work, or wherever we may be, it's easy to think only about the life we're living day to day. We forget what kind of an impact we have on our world, where we shop, who we support, what we believe. All these things have an impact on the lives of those around us. Now, remember, you have the power to open big doors with even the smallest hinge of choice, swinging wide open for a future for yourself and for others as well. Today, we're drawing inspiration from Noah's life, a story where faith met action in a very profound way, and teaching us that even in the midst of the world's greatest turmoil, there's always a choice to connect with God, embracing connection versus isolation, and maintaining righteous living versus being corralled into evil actions. A story where faith met action in a profound way, teaching us that even in the midst of the world's greatest turmoils, there's always a choice to connect with God, embrace connection, maintain righteous living, and live authentically ourselves no matter the influences around us. We can still be the good in a chaotic and hectic world. So let's journey back thousands of years ago to ancient times, to the world of Noah. Now in Hebrew, Noah is actually pronounced Noach. And Noach's history is told in the book of Genesis in the Bible. Now, personally, I do love to read the complete Jewish Bible version. It's a direct translation from Hebrew to English for the Old Testament and Greek to English in the New Testament. So this is pretty much as close to the original text as I can get and their meanings without having to learn a new language, understand the full culture of Hebrew and Greek to really get there. Whether you're new to reading the Bible or an avid daily reader, this version really brings new life and simplicity to the ancient texts of our history as a believer, and I love this version. If you're a regular reader of the Bible in any other version, the one big difference that you'll notice right away is in the names. Since most of the people that were talked about through the Bible were Hebrew, their names in the original Hebrew are written in this book. So Yochanan in English is John, Shaul is Paul, Yeshua is Jesus, and much more. But to be honest, some of them are just more fun to say in Hebrew, like Noach, for example. However, whatever version you find easy to understand, and whatever language you speak for their names, feel free. Your education of the history and deepening your inspiration for your day-to-day faith walk with God is the most important thing. But if you get a chance, take a look at this version. It can be pretty fun to study and give new perspectives on verses and histories that we might find very common. So back to our history review here. So we find Noach's story beginning in chapter 6, verse 9 of Genesis in the Bible. He was mentioned once in chapter 5 in the genealogy of his family, but the bulk of his history really starts in chapter 6. The very first thing that it says about Noach is that Noach was a man righteous and wholehearted. Noach walked with God. Now hold up right here, okay? When I first read this the last time that I did my study through the Torah books, which is basically the first 5 books of the Bible, I had to stop and really meditate on this for a minute. Are you telling me that this man not only had a reputation of being righteous and wholehearted, but that he walked with God? The only other time it's mentioned that someone walked with God was in Adam and Eve's time, which was hundreds of years earlier. Putting on the side for a minute his reputation with man, look at his reputation with God. To think that God would look at him with such righteousness and feel comfortable walking beside him? I mean, God can't even look at sin. This is the same God that if someone presented something unholy to him in his direct presence, later known as the Holy of Holies, it was well known by all his people that they could die. And Noach was someone who walked on the face of the earth when it was the ugliest place the world has ever seen. Yet he was called righteous and able to walk with God. I mean, come on, there has to be hope for us too. At this time, corruption and violence had become the norm. The Bible verses say that all living beings had corrupted their ways on the earth. And Noach stood in the midst of that with his own truth, wholehearted and righteous. Now, being wholehearted truly means showing or characterized by complete sincerity and commitment, while being righteous means of a person or a conduct that is morally right or justifiably virtuous. And this means in all things, not just 1 or 2 areas of life, but he was right in his dealings with other people, with his wife, with his kids, with his work, with his faith. And putting these 2 words together, getting a true deep meaning that he did all right things with complete sincerity and commitment. I mean, that truly is a man that should have a legacy built up for him. He wasn't swept away by the decadence or the moral decay that surrounded him. Instead, he chose a path of faithful living, honoring what was right with full sincerity and commitment. And all his choices, actions, conduct, the atmosphere he carried with him was righteous. Now, he wasn't at the street corners preaching, "Repent, you vile sinners," at the rest of the world. He was a simple farmer. He had a wife, 3 kids, living his life, walking with God in peace, and his existence in the midst of this ugly world was enough to impact the future of everyone. Now, clearly, he had a true awareness of his own identity, where his place was, where his influence really was, his life, his wife, his kids, his work, and really anyone else he came in contact with. He was so comfortable just being himself in the midst of all that ugliness. It's just simply inspiring, especially in nowadays times where there is so much evil and ugliness and just mean, unkind actions all around us. To be the only person that is leading a righteous and godly life is absolutely inspiring. And clearly at his time, it made an impact on the people around him because he was publicly known with a reputation of being wholehearted and righteous. Now, I would love for people to say that about me. "Oh, that's Nicole. She's righteous and wholehearted in all she does. When she works with you, she does things right. She handles herself, her attitude, her demeanor with sincerity and genuine and doing all things right for others just as herself." And I mean, who wouldn't like someone to talk about you like that? That kind of reputation following you at work or with friends or even with family at the Thanksgiving table? Come on, that would be so much fun, right? Now, despite living in a world that seemed beyond repair, Noach lived that kind of life. His choices did what was right for others and were right in the eyes of God too. So it does make sense that when God called him to build an ark to not only save his family, but make a covenant with them for the entire future of the world, he listened with intention and did everything that God ordered him to do. He clearly was aware obeying God's order was right in the eyes of God, but it was also right to do for others, even his own family and the animals. This massive vessel of an ark safeguarded his family and representatives of every living creature that Adonai, God himself, would use to rebuild the populations of the world. And he stepped to the plate to do the work, just as he did everything else with a whole heart and righteous action. Now, can you imagine the isolation, maybe even the skepticism that Noach must have faced? His community was immersed in their evil thoughts, their ugly intentions of hate and murderous ways, cheating, backstabbing, as their way of life contradicted the very essence of all good things. Yet Noach's commitment was unwaveringly to God. Every nail he hammered into that ark was a testament of his faith and the hope that he clung to, a hope that something better was possible, even if it meant standing alone against a tidal wave of people. By standing next to the God that made heaven and earth, it was enough. Noach's story is not just about survival, it's about transformation. By following God's directives before, during, and after this very well-known flood that destroyed the surface of the earth, Noach was a huge part of transforming a seemingly doomed existence into the opportunity for a new beginning, a fresh start for humanity. His actions speak to us today in the face of overwhelming odds that living wholeheartedly, faithful, and making intentional choices can pave the way for redemption and renewal to the future of the human race. To truly understand Noach's journey, though, we need to explore the character of the one that he walked with. God himself, Adonai, God Almighty, creator of the universe and all that it holds. There are many names that he's called, especially in the Hebrew text and faith, that are really made to depict different parts of his character. Because God is so magnanimous, one name just isn't enough for him. Names for him are such like Adonai, which means Lord, Elohim, which means God the Creator, or Adonai Sabaoth, which means God of Heaven's armies. And my personal favorite, which is El Elyon, which means God Most High. Now, all of these names give us a glimpse into the character and personality of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and myself as well. He gives hope to the hopeless, healing to the broken, and has a powerful and victorious right hand to anyone that comes after his righteous people. He gives hope to the hopeless, healing to the broken, and has a powerful and victorious right hand over anyone that comes after his righteous people. We have so many historical stories through the Bible books showing his power in protecting or saving his people when they call on him. Even from the Exodus story all the way to 1st and 2nd Kings, we see time and time again that Psalms 34 is true, especially in how verse 20, it says, "The righteous person suffers many evils, but Adonai rescues him from all of them." Adonai is all-powerful, profoundly just, and 100% invested into the future of his people. There is such an amazing beauty in his power, and the grandeur is perfectly balanced with his compassion and desire for a real relationship with humanity. He graciously knows each one of us by name and is willing to speak with us, teach us, walk with us. And I know for a fact that Noah was a human just like any of us believers today. Now, I know I'm not a saint, I'm not perfect. I have had my fleshly taste of wickedness that has really caused me so much pain in my life. But even in all that sin, Adonai, God himself, has forgiven me and made me the driven, holy, cleansed person that I am today. I remember those times of evil in my life, and I thank God daily for the grace that he gave me through Yeshua as Messiah, that I can once again be close to him, just as Noach was. I may not have a world-class, wholehearted, righteous reputation like Noach, but I am a servant, and I'm willing to change and better myself each and every day, so when the King of Glory, Yeshua, comes back to his active reign, he can look at me with pride saying, "That one? Oh, I know her. She's mine." Walking with God as Noach did, and as I try my best to do now each and every day, means more than just following a set of rules. It's about embracing a lifestyle that is centered on trust, obedience, and an unwavering commitment to what's right, even when it contradicts the prevailing culture. Noach's relationship with God wasn't one of blind faith. It was built on genuine connection, relationship, conversations of respect, and the acknowledgement of God's incomprehensible power and the love for his people. Consider this. In one of the ugliest chapters of human history, when corruption was rampant, the earth was filled with violence, God chose to work with a man who stood apart. Noach's faith wasn't a passive sentiment. It wasn't a t-shirt or a religious sect title. It was an active, intentional choice to live in accordance with God's will, even when the cost could have been higher than what he ever wanted to pay. This kind of attitude and character in walking with God is both inspirational as it is undeniably beautiful. Just as much as the most engaging setting sun or captivating when watching the waves of the ocean, it just reminds me that the complexity of our existence in our busy, chaotic, and scheduled out lives, our choices truly can align us with a greater, deeper purpose, paving the way for profound, world-changing impact. The small things we do to deepen our intention, our directions, our character, our choices are establishing a place for us in the future, which really begs the question, what are your choices setting you up for? Victorious moments of connection, good business and proper communication that are right, unity in the family and a feeling of openness and willingness to listen to God and others, or just maybe not? This is a really good place to dig deeper into what the commitment of being wholehearted and righteous really is. In remembering before that being wholehearted is living with sincerity and commitment, and being righteous is doing what is right with others and with God, how can we shift our perspectives and mentality to even start to apply that to our lives? Well, I think the first step is knowing what you truly believe. If you think it's right to be mean to someone or ghost them when you just don't want to talk with them anymore, that's what you're going to do. If you think it's right to cheat a little with your time, your work, or your friends because, well, you deserve it, that's what you're going to do. Taking the idea of doing what's right isn't just doing what we think is right in the moment, it's doing what's right for all that it impacts, God, others, and ourselves. When we're hurt by someone, it might feel right to hurt them back, but that's only right in the eyes of your pain, not in the eyes of God or others, so that's not a righteous choice. Being righteous would be allowing your pain to happen and extending a hand or words of education, vulnerability, or even sympathy to the one causing the pain. Clearly, if they think that they're right in some angle of their mind to hurt you, then what needs to really be corrected before their actions is their mentality. And the only way to truly impact or change someone's mentality is to get into their world and extend a hand of greater love and impact than maybe they've ever experienced before. In our world now that is ever more extreme and aggressive than years past, it can seem normal or a habit to strike back hard to those that are hard with you, but we need to zoom out and look at the big picture of who we're really being right to. Are we doing what's right for us, for the people we're dealing with, for God? Our mind's normal pathways of thought to think if we're pushed, we need to push back harder, needs to be washed and really rewired with questions of the impact for what is good and right. We can definitely rewire our mind, our intention, our actions to be loving, to be more kind, and even downright righteous as Noach was. The more we practice these habits of questioning our impact, finding a solution, and doing what's right to all that are involved, the more we can live righteously. As a believer in God, we have a wonderful tool to find this ground zero of righteousness, as all the character traits, actions, and choices are in there. And that tool is the Bible. Even taking one righteous history at a time to apply to our lives can get us one more step closer to a fully righteous life. What about the righteous examples in King David's history, Esther, or even the world-famous Abraham? There are so many different examples and ways to practice righteousness, and if you want to see them more clearly, I highly recommend you reading the book of Genesis, digging for answers of righteousness. You'd honestly be surprised at how much is in there that you can take and apply to your day-to-day life in being more righteous with others, with your relationship with God, and even for yourself. Taking this even deeper and connecting righteousness with being wholehearted is that we do what's right with full sincerity and commitment. Sometimes don't you do things or even say things that are like half-baked? They're not fully what you believe or what you meant to say to someone else. This is what the Bible calls being lukewarm, not fully committed to one truth or another. It's better to be fully committed, hot or cold, in your choices, actions, or decisions than to be indifferent or with a lack of enthusiasm or even conviction with what you are doing. Being lukewarm is disgusting. at least in the eyes of God, as he really put it in Revelation 3. And to be honest, I do agree with him. If you've ever worked on a project with someone that was like not really interested in doing it, they'll sort of do it and say what's good for the situation, but they're also like sort of not engaged, so they don't really honor what they say, or it really lacks in their results to support you in the projects. This is super annoying to anyone, God included. Which is why being wholehearted is truly about being sincere in what you do, committing fully to your actions, and giving 100% of yourself to what you're doing. It could be committing your focus or intention or time at work or with your kids. Sometimes it's giving your energy and physical efforts to complete a task or finish a goal you set before yourself. It could even be just sincerely listening to someone in their conversation or a chat with people that you meet. Even with your relationship with God, being sincere in your prayers, conversations, and meditations with Him. Don't just spew out old patterns of prayer or thought that were from moments of the past. Drop in the moment. Be vulnerable and sincere in your connection with where you are now and the next connection with God of where you're going. These are the things that we can practice day by day by day to hold up the legacy that was Noach's life and history that truly saved us all. Noach's wholehearted, righteous lifestyle was his lifeline to who he was and where he was going. It saved him, his family, the world of humanity, and the animals too. And ultimately, when the floodwaters came, Noach's ark wasn't just a physical refuge. It was a true manifestation of his total trust and commitment in doing what was right to God and to others. Because of his unwavering commitment, he not only survived this massive destruction and was used to build out the next generations of humanity, but he was personally blessed by God himself. He was prosperous in his own right and was able to be the pinnacle of a new covenant that never again would Adonai flood the earth to destroy it. Now, there is a fun fact in there as well that he was the first person to ever see a rainbow. And my 4-year-old daughter loves rainbows, with every color bringing her more joy as she paints them, draws them, brushes her fingers across any sticker or picture she finds. I mean, honestly, who doesn't love a good rainbow? But when I see them, I'm always reminded of Noach and what it really took for him to be free from the pressures of the world around him. To be someone that was so sincere, wholehearted, and completely righteous to others, to God, that it brought about this saving moment so impactful as the ark. And the first ever rainbow to be formed just for him in that moment, and for all of us in the moments to come to remember his legacy, to remember the saving grace of God in working through one man who was reputable, righteous, and wholehearted. Noach's history teaches and reminds us that making deliberate choices every day that align with our values and faith, even when the world seems determined to lead us astray, has untapped potential to save lives, renew generations, and bring a rebirth of society, even in our modern era. Being wholehearted and righteous isn't about perfection. It's about the intention of our hearts and the choices that we make each and every day to better ourselves, our family, our communities, and our world. In our modern lives, we face our own floods, our crises, our challenges, and moments when even just the darkness seems overwhelming. Yet like Noach, we all have a choice. By living authentically and sincerely in doing right for others and for God, we can create safe havens in our communities, our families, transforming challenges into opportunities for renewal and growth. In choosing to be wholehearted in our faith, in our interactions with others, and in every decision we make, we honor the Spirit of God Himself and the legacy of Noach in the history of humanity. His life reminds us that the strength to weather any storm comes not from external circumstances, but from the trust in an all-powerful God and the inner commitment to live according to doing what is right for others and in the eyes of God. Now, you may be wondering, well, what about me? We've been talking a lot about others and doing what's right for God, but what about what's doing right for me? Well, as it explains in Philippians 2, that we are to regard each other as better than ourselves, looking out for each other's interests, not just our own. When we feed love, sincerity, and a genuine interest in caring for other people first, we are feeding into our very own community. And this community is the same place that feeds into us. We're all connected as what we do impacts our home lives, our cities, our states, even our nation. One act of kindness and understanding can go viral, impacting one person to the next, even a whole group or community of people all at once. Every act of doing what is right is a step toward a brighter world. And since we all share that same world, this is our reward as well, to live in a brighter, more right and sincere world of unity, love, respect, and kindness to all. And the last thing I'll say is that when we honor God, He remembers us. Just like He remembered Noach through the flood, just like He remembered Noach with the rainbow, and just like He remembered Noach when He blessed him at the end, He made him prosperous in his own right, and Noach didn't have to ask him for anything. Noach simply honored Adonai. He lived wholeheartedly and righteous, and his whole life was taken care of by God Himself. So don't worry about yourself. God can take care of you. You just focus on being wholehearted and righteous in all you do, and I can guarantee there are some blessings that are going to come right to your front door. So in reflection of our chat here, we need to look inwardly at what we truly believe is right. Who are we impacting or really benefiting with our choices? Is it us? Is it others? Is it God? It really should be all three, or at least two of the three, namely others and God. Once we have righteousness, a right action to do, we have to apply sincerity, commitment, and a whole heart in our actions, driving it forward in the impact for others, for God, and for the moment. While in turn, that impacts our own alignment to a brighter future personally and as part of a bigger community and world in a better place. And lastly, we need to practice again and again and again and again. In every aspect of life, we can perfect this righteous and wholehearted lifestyle by simple intentions and a drive to do what's right with a whole heart. Whether you start with your family, your work, one or even a few of your friends, or even just yourself, take it one step, one day, one decision at a time. These steps of practice might seem small at first, but remember that Noach's ark was built by hand, one plank at a time. Your daily choices are the building blocks for a brighter future for yourself and for the world and everyone else that lives in it with us. Now, I would go so far as to challenge you to reset your heart's intentions, find your sincerity in your connections with God and yourself and the value of what's right, and perfect that ability through practice to make a right choice with a whole heart. I've put together a 3-day intentional living challenge, wholehearted, authentic, and righteous action. This is a guide through looking inward and applying the concept of sincerity, commitment, and a wholehearted, righteous lifestyle with practice. Over the course of 3 days, you'll receive a new daily topic to focus in on resetting your mind, your heart, and your body. We'll go through small Bible readings, taking intentional action. There's journaling prompts, digging deeper questions, and really reflections to help you reach higher in the next phase of your life and your relationship with the Lord. Each day you'll be practicing righteousness and a wholehearted life by doing what's right for others, for God, and also yourself, but with sincerity and commitment to see a brighter outcome. If you feel distant from what you believe or for who you stand for, this is the perfect challenge for you. Maybe you wish to be more connected daily with God or with the true impact that you can have on the world around you. Then this challenge will be the perfect place to get you closer to that life that you can be proud of living with intention and impact in a godly way. I think I might go through this challenge myself this week and really review the wholeheartedness of myself. Because living wholehearted and righteous is not something that you just do for 3 days and you stop, you got it. This is a lifelong journey of bettering ourselves, connecting with truth, and walking every single day righteous and wholehearted. Our actions matter, our choices matter, and we have to start somewhere to start doing things better. So today is the time to really start. In this 3-day intentional living challenge of being wholehearted, authentic, and taking righteous action really is about making a conscious decision together to live in a way that honors our faith, our values, the legacy of Noach in living wholehearted and righteous, no matter what the world around you looks like. We all have our impact to make, so let's make sure it's an impact for the good. Sign up for the challenge now by following the link in the show notes or in the description below. Or you can go directly to our website at digdeepreachhigh.com under our challenges section and see the 3-day intentional living challenge to sign up. Once you sign up, off you'll go on an adventure that will leave you feeling more connected with God and truly empowered to make intentional decisions with positivity, wholeheartedness, and righteousness to affect your world. Before we sign off, remember, being wholehearted isn't just a faith thing. It's about digging into the core of who you are. Your faith is a piece of the puzzles of your existence, your education, your work, your personality, your interests. All these things come together to create the beautiful mosaic of your life. And Noach is proof that even a real 100% flesh and blood human being with all the complexities and imperfections can live a life wholehearted and righteous. Today, let Noach's legacy inspire you to take practical steps towards living more authentically and purposefully. Be that person who makes choices that matter, not just for yourself, but for the world around you. Small right actions, when lived wholeheartedly, can transform lives. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Noach's amazing history and the timeless lessons of living with trust and intention. Let's take our own practical steps day by day to be a little more like Noach, living with unwavering faith, righteousness, and being wholehearted. Don't miss next week's episode as we go through the details of stress, learning how to release it and catching the freedom like a 4-year-old. Stress has horrible side effects, not just for our health, for our well-being, our relationships, our future. This episode is going to bring new revelations and perspectives of how we can combat and prevent stress day to day. Don't forget to subscribe. You will not want to miss this one. Until next time, be sincere and intentionally do right as we dig deep and reach high together. Begin your day with a book that lifts your spirit and deepens your faith. At Dayspring, every page from inspiring Bibles, heartfelt devotionals, to prayers meant to be shared truly carries a message of hope and love. Each book is a guiding light in our journey, encouraging us to embrace the Lord's grace and really share it with others. Visit dayspring.com today, following the affiliate link below, and discover a perfect reminder of His love on every page. Dayspring, inspiring every day.